You cannot feed AI everything that you have here and here, right? You all need to punch in. So whatever AI will give you will always be limited, So relying on AI and relying on AI to drive and lead, I think is absolutely wrong. AI is always going to be assistant. So always appreciate that. Don't try to keep AI as a leading or fronting the whole thing for you, because that just defeats the whole purpose. They are supposed to assist you. Respect that and use it to basically enhance your whole capabilities. So I don't think so that they're going to replace what we do as comms people, even in 1,000 years from now. See, I started the whole idea of animation, and I did my whole a specific course. I remember at that point in time, Arena Multimedia used to have a full-fledged course of 2 years and all. I did that because I really into 3D animation, Maya, Max, and all of it. But I realized that comms is a very interesting, I would say, industry where I thought I can fit in very well. The kind of access I can have where I'm directly connecting with the CEOs and the founders and people who really define the industry. Plus, you are able to narrate, create, and strategize and get the messaging out of a brand. I think that was quite interesting. It was never that I'm going to focus just because I talk a lot or wine and dine kind of phenomena, which is usually related to PR. That was not the interesting part for me. I believe comms and PR has a bigger role to play. You need to create a strong set of communication, and if you can lead that communication, I think nothing like it. So that's the reason why I chose getting into communications and PR. I think it's been more than 2 decades since I've been part of this entire communication and PR fraternity, and the journey is, I would say, quite enriching for me. I think my first 5 years was all about learning, more than the kind of remuneration I was seeking. I was more curious to know, what exactly is happening. Why are we doing certain activities, and why do we use certain tools and not the other ways? I think I was fortunate enough to have a few mentors in my life who really helped me not just professionally but personally also, to guide me and help me become a better person, with a lot of patience, a lot of sense of understanding. There is a saying in our world that content is king. I believe if content is king, then knowledge is God. So try to seek the knowledge, because knowledge is always correct. There is nothing called fake or incorrect information that can happen with content. I think that's what happened, and I realized the importance of communications even at a small scale. So I think it's quite enriching, the kind of clients, the kind of brands I was able to work. I think that really helped me to gain a lot of perspective. If I see myself, say, 20 years ago, I would see a lot of immaturities and rush decision making and all. Now it has all changed. I can see a big picture and make the right decisions at the right time. So yeah, I think it's quite enriching for me. I believe even in the current organization, we truly value a data-driven approach. You need to have technology and data to back, and I believe in having an evidence-based conversation, and that's where data come in really handy. So when you try to, in my earlier days, I remember I was working with Genesis Burson Master, which is now has become Burson. They have redefined their own identity, and now it's called Burson. So when I was there, I was taking care of HP and NASCOM. They are the two mandates based out of Bangalore. And to understand the whole messaging and the outreach and the impact, we never looked at the number of stories we used to generate. I'm talking about 15 years ago, where newspapers were really in, unlike today, where you have whole digital landscape that has taken over. And that's where I realized the power of data, a certain analysis through our partners who can analyze and say that, hey, apart from getting 10,000 stories, your messaging was there in only 5,000. So that's where I realized the importance of how effective a data can be. Plus, when you try to have a conversation with influencers within traditional as well as digital media, I think data plays very important role. So finding out the importance of a certain report and try to have a conversation with media to tell about a story that you want to convey with the message of your brand, I think data comes in very handy. So I think from my early days itself, as I said, I had great mentors who really helped me to understand and focus on having a lot of data driven approach. So to track the stories, to track your impact, because in PR it's not a typical marketing formula that you follow to evaluate the ROI of a PR campaign. You know, you need to see various aspects of it, and data come in very handy in the beginning. So as I said, how you track the messaging, how effectively it was done, how you define the kind of views you are garnering. I think from the initial days, I think data came in really handy when I was doing my basic activities as a PR executive at that time. I remember for Vodafone, even for HP, I was taking care of the enterprise side of it. At that point of time, HP was divided into two parts. One was PSG, which is more about personal, and then you have the enterprise, which is ESG. So there you need to bring a lot of data, that how efficient your data center is, how efficient your SaaS capabilities are, and those are the selling points for us to establish HP versus any other brand. So I really enjoyed that. Then I think Xiaomi was one thing that I really enjoyed because I was part of the core team and I was leading it from the day we got the mandate. And I think till the time for the next 4.5 years when they became number one smartphone brand in India, I think that was quite fabulous. We did a lot of interesting things, and I can say not just data but certain analysis of situations. It really helped us because when we entered, we had a tag of, when I say Xiaomi, I mean I'm referring to that. They had a tag of a Chinese brand, just another brand. What's new about it? And they had zero budget in terms of marketing to go ahead. We only had to rely on PR-driven communications, and we did a fabulous job. We figured out that having the whole idea of me fans, and we do larger than life events at Tal Katora Stadium, for example, Siri Fort, for example, where we bring in international executives talking about what's so unique we do it. And we also realize that if you say that this is a phone that we made by inputs from the users for the users, I think that would really work. So the whole idea of me fan really worked. I remember we created something really interesting, that this is again data and analysis, that a lot of these tech journalists really want to know what's inside the phone. Till then, I'm talking about 10 years ago, I mean, till then, nobody had any clue what's inside the phone. And usually you have spokespeople who are business oriented. They can talk about the growth and business aspect of organization. But when you ask them about opening the phone and telling them inside story, they struggle. Fortunately, Xiaomi had that. I remember Hugo Bara was the person, and he was fabulous. I think currently he's doing something on his own. So he opened the phone in front of me, and we realized if we can do the tear down session where you open the phone, show that this is what is happening in front of the media, I think that would get a lot of excitement. What happened? Media was getting this access for the first time. Not any other brand, but Xiaomi did it for the first time in India, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I could be, but I'm just as far as I know, we were the first ones, and we showed the whole inside story. What happened? We created a lot of loyalists from media. Now people started remembering us. Xiaomi is the brand, and Himank and the team, they are the ones who basically showed us the whole world. They basically opened the whole world of what is inside Xiaomi, what is inside smartphone. Sorry. So I think that was pretty interesting. Another part is that you understand the situation. What's topical for you? When I was working for Instagram and Facebook, I mean, now it's called Meta, but I was managing it. So coming up with annual report of what's the most searched items and various other things, and creating a listicle out of it. I think that was the key thing. Instead of pushing things from our end, we were getting a pull mechanism where media was asking us. you know, and that really helped us a lot. So these are some of the examples I mentioned. I even worked for a brand called Magic Pin. They are leading when it comes to um, hybrid model of offline and online marketing. They beautifully blend this together, and I was there for almost 3 years, and I cherished that period, that tenure, because I was able to had international exposure, not just as a comms person, but also taking care of the operations, where I was part of the core team running the operations in Indonesia. So the whole experience was really interesting, and analysis and data and market sentiments. I think capturing all that really helped in making it so memorable for me. I have even with Bazi games where I currently work. I think it's all data driven. We realize the power of heroes, which I mean the players, and our whole campaign is based on hero creations. We believe in subtle art of branding. You will never see us going tom and taking care of everything and make ads and very flashy headlines and PR that looks on your face, and we don't do that. We focus on the whole integration, the whole responsible gaming, and how ethical and how enriching this entire game, which is called poker, which is all skill based. So we come up with reports. We have support coming from IIT and IIM, and that itself is a data driven approach, right? Then it becomes very easy for anybody to to understand what exactly we are trying to say. So I think, yeah, I think it's so far throughout my career, I believe evidence based conversation really helped me. You need to create evidence, be it testimonials, be it data, be it certain differences, which is a reality. I think then it becomes very easy for somebody who is in communication and PR to tell the story and have people convinced. Like, see, it depends. As I said, in PR, there is no set formula. There are bunch of brands I know who do tracking basis the AVE. So basically, AVE is advertising value equivalent, where you have, say, a story that has appeared in digital or a physical format, and you multiply by a certain number of the ad, I mean, for which you have to pay to get that space, and there you come up with a PR value. But again, how many people are reading it? How many people are watching it? So I keep it very simple for me. It's always a third party endorsement. If I go and talk to them about my story that hey, I got it in ABC publication about ABC News, uh, it's okay. If even if my team member says, hey, we saw the story, it's great. I believe if say third party says that to my co-founders that hey, we have heard this story, I believe you guys are doing wonderful. I think that's the biggest testimony we can have it. And also, as I said, if content is king, then knowledge is god, because knowledge is always correct. Knowledge will never corrupt you. Content can. You can create fake content, you can create right content and mislead the whole generation, but knowledge is always insightful, knowledge is always right. So what happens, you try to clear doubts, you try to be visible wherever you think the right information should be there, and explore all the possible opportunities. Then you can see the kind of comments and reactions you're getting it to decide if it's a great success or not. Just one of those things we define. Plus we also figure out if you're creating a news, say, for a player, okay, has that got into that player, the player really understood that hey, I got my stories, I'm there in every newspaper. It is such a big deal to have it, your name and everything. I think all those things define your ROIs, define your KRAs, and define your matrix. So it depends. And I suggest going forward, like for everyone who's into PR and communications, to look for any such matrix in the beginning itself. Be a part of it from the scratch. You can't be coming at the last minute just to execute and get the stories out. You need to understand where is it coming from, share your inputs, so that team members are aware that this is not going to work when it comes to PR and comms, and they tweak it accordingly. And then you set the parameters that hey, for this particular campaign, I believe matrix A and B are the real success measure for us. But broadly, I think your message, if you get 1,000 stories, as I said, and none of them are able to capture the message you want to communicate, then it's a failed attempt. It doesn't solve anything. You need to be very clear with the kind of thought process you bring in. So the key message is very good. Your stories should cover that. Getting a positive headline is very important. So you look for various options and work with the media friends and your team members to get that story out. You drive a lot of data. If that data can actually say the story, I think that would be a great matrix to figure it out. So it depends as to activity per activity. Your messaging should be the key thing more than the volume. That's where the value speaks out. And I think, yeah, that's what I keep it simple. It's not easy to achieve simple things, but I think that's where I would like to utilize the whole experience that I have garnered, say, in the past 2 decades of my professional life. I think AI is going to impact PR significantly. There is no doubt in my mind. The kind of efforts I used to make to gather information, have the basic set of analysis or summary, has cut down to like zero now. I just need to type, and I'm just giving an example of as basic as chat gpt, which is a very surface level chatbot to give you all that feed. There are plenty of other applications and platforms that PR and com should explore to just fast track the whole process of gathering the information, creating a summary and analysis, because it consumes so much time. I think that's very, very important. And if you imagine now, I think it's going to play very, very important role for it. Also, you need to have more effective ways to communicate. Right now, I believe that you cannot rely on just textual medium. Most of us are still rely on typical press release to send it out or text medium to go out. I don't think it works anymore as significantly as it should be. You need to bring in a strong essence and element and colors and flavors of your visual as well as audio. Look at the way podcast has reinvented the whole audio segment altogether. Everybody is going crazy. Look at the Kamath brothers. They have achieved great success with their whole podcast that is happening. you know so there, I think the whole AI can really help it to figure out and explore more tools and possibility and opportunities, so that things can become more easy for you you know and this is where I truly believe that upskilling, this word is very, very important for anybody who is into the field of communications. You need to upskill, and the best way is to learn AI. There are plenty and plethora of courses which are freely available, but are very, very important and prestigious, and will give you a lot of remarks, and people will appreciate that you have taken the certification. Google has plenty of free courses that you can apply, and the kind of knowledge you will gain is going to be really interesting. I truly believe that in if there is one person within the organization who can truly own the tag of being an AI expert, then that person has to be communication expert. That, imagine the kind of importance you will have within your organization, irrespective you are working for yourself as a freelancer, you have your own company, or you work for an organization. It will help you immensely because you know the platforms, you know the do's and don'ts. In comms, I truly believe that more than what you can do, you should know when you don't need to jump the gun, when you don't need to push for it. I've learned this by watching brands like BMW, how beautifully they do the integration. You will see when you type say a lifestyle or a luxury cars, you will see Mercedes and others, but not BMW flashing it. So they know when to push this out, and they also don't know when not to push it out. And especially in today's world where there are so many fake news and things are going out, people can interpret, old things can come back and haunt you. I think having a control on AI power, I think, is very, very important, so that a misuse can be handled, and you can figure out more effective tools to tell your story effectively to a larger audience. I was just reading some stories, some write-ups and articles and books on AI. I mean, being a part of being a comms person, I think it's kind of a curse that you cannot stop but reading. You need to understand, and that's what I do. And I was just seeing that the AI can understand basis whatever feed you give it. So it's a very simple formula of garbage in, garbage out. Great content in, great content out. So it depends on that. And I don't think AI can replace 100% anything. As there could be some job opportunities, but when it comes to communications, I think you cannot replace it. For instance, if I have a particular topic for which I have to go and meet certain influences within media and government or third party, the kind of body language, the kind of my answers, the kind of their replies, and the kind of interpretations I will have, and the way I can connect it with my experiences, AI cannot do that. You cannot feed AI everything that you have here and here, right? You all need to punch in. So whatever AI will give you will always be limited. So relying on AI and relying on AI to drive and lead, I think is absolutely wrong. AI is always going to be assistant. So always appreciate that. Don't try to keep AI as a leading or a fronting the whole thing for you, because that just defeats the whole purpose. They are supposed to assist you. Respect that and use it to basically enhance your whole capabilities. So I don't think so that they're going to replace what we do as comms people, even in 1,000 years from now. It should be somewhere where we really figure out how many people are actually viewing it. Let's say you have a website where your story has appeared, uh, and you somehow automatically, I know it's possible, but it takes a lot of time, that you have one repository where you click and you get, hey, I got 1,000 stories all over the world. Now let me see how many people have watched it, how many people have actually scrolled it, how much of time they have spent. Was the screen on and they were doing something? So maybe something which can track the facial recognition and eye, and something on that note. You know, I think that would be really interesting for me to figure out exact numbers of how many people are watching it. But again, I'm talking about too many permissions, and whole privacy thing will be there, which is not pertinent to this but whole industry. So I think if something like that can be done, I think that would be really interesting. Maybe, I hope, with the new bunch of AI tools that are coming in, you never know, this can happen. But I really want to see that if somebody has opened a page in front of you, or say the person is, let's say IPL is going on, even from a marketing, I'm just talking about content consumption, right? If the ad is live, how many people are actually watching? Just because the screen is on, they know that for the next 30 seconds that content is going to be there in terms of the ad. They will move around in whatever it is there a mechanism that can help us to figure out, maybe a survey, a smart survey that can reward user to say that, hey, you have watched this content, do you remember? Can we take a quick quiz to know that if you have actually seen it, how many times have you seen it? Do you really relate to what the kind of communication we wanted to say? Does it really resonate to that? If that kind of a feedback mechanism can come in, I think combining with the whole, the earlier metrics that I mentioned, I think that would be really kick ass. Oh, I'll give it in two parts. One is, if content is king, then knowledge is God. You need to read a lot, and the way you can do it, it's very easy to say it. People don't get it, that how are you gonna do it. So I can tell you simple metrics that I follow. I read every day about my company. I read every day about my industry. You know, the whole company, the whole. Say for example, right now I'm in the online gaming space, real money gaming RNG industry. So what's happening? Not just in India, but also globally, because global things can impact. You can bring in all those things here. You can learn from all the global mistakes and good things that are happening and try to do better. And also about general stuff that is impacting your industry. So today is a day where we have actually had a budget, right? How budget is going to impact my online gaming industry directly, indirectly. Read about it. And last but not the least, try to read, try to consume content. I mean, when I say read, I mean consume content. It could be visually, it could be audio, it could be text. Something that is your favorite, something which where you have a passion. Say you have a passion for skydiving. Okay, try to read and consume and get it, so that professionally and personally you are aligned and know what is happening around you, what's happening in your society. What's the meeting that is happening with RWA? How is that connected? You see something in newspaper, how is that connecting to, can I connect that to my brand? Can I come up with idea that can impact it? The whole Maldives thing, for example, where certain players were banning the travel and visit to Maldives. Great thing for them, but how is it that going to connect to my industry? What is the impact that I'm going to have it? Think on those lines. So read, watch, view, and analyze on a daily basis what's relevant for your industry, what's relevant indirectly directly about new things that are happening around you, and something about your passion. And the second part is, for the first 5 years of your career, you just need to focus on one word, which is learning. What's new that you're learning? You have 365 days. You need to have 365 new learning things, by the time you finish a day. Professionally, what you're learning. After 5 years, just remove the L from learning. You'll have earning. Focus on that. I think that is very important. Look for a larger thing that can really help you to grow. And it's not money. It's the insight, it's the understanding, and how quickly you can connect the dots. It can only happen when you focus. Be very curious. Learning is not easy. You need to be very curious. Why are we doing this way? Why are we not doing that way? And be courageous enough to ask this question, irrespective what someone says to you. So if you have the courage to learn and learn for the first 5 years, I think your life will be sorted professionally.